Bonjour, everyone. Welcome to the quarter review of player ratings. So we are a quarter way through this season. Last international break for how many months did you say, mate? About 6, 7
I
months?
think it's 6. I don't think
Not
there's
bad.
another one until like the last quarter of the season now. So thank fuck for that because I can't be asked to any more England games. Like
Happy days. So throughout
transferring Brucey Ball with Southgate Ball, fucking less of that.
nah. So throughout this national break, we thought we'd give you some more content. So we came up with the player ratings so far this season. But we'll start off from kit number ascending onwards, but obviously we'll miss a couple out, such as Dubravka really starting with number 1 since he hasn't really played at all with his injury coming back in December apparently. So start off, Keg. Who we're going with first?
Well, yeah, if we're going in squad number order, then we're going to skip straight to number 5 because two, Kieran Clark, I think's played 1 game this season, maybe 2. Dummett hasn't had a sniff. Matty Longstaff's made 1 sub appearance. So number 5, Fabian Schär.
Fabian Schär. Am I doing that one first, am I?
Either one, I'll go if you want. But yeah, for me, I'll just start and say that Schär's been just a bit inconsistent because he's one of the more frustrating players in the squad for me because the season before last, he was everyone's player of the year. Between him and Rondon, really, it was a bit of a toss-up, but Schär probably was the player of the year for the majority of it. Last season, he was just so frustrating because I think like the expectations were up here. I think he set himself too high a bar that last season he just couldn't reach. But particularly after lockdown, that was the frustrating things. Like the post-lockdown games, he was absolutely shocking. It looked like he wanted to move away. It just looked like he wasn't interested. His performances were absolutely abysmal. So I know like a lot of fans, because of those handful of games, a lot of fans were calling to sell him because he's shit. But this season, like since going back to 5 at the back, which I actually think suits the likes of Schär and Lascelles, I think Fernández is all right in a flat back 4. But I think particularly Schär and Lascelles probably will get the best out of them in a back 5. So yeah, Schär's been okay. It's been kind of in between. He hasn't been as bad as he was at the end of last season, but he's still nowhere really near where he was in the 2018 season. So, yeah, better than he was last season, but still, he still hasn't reached his bar yet. So, I have to get in the middle. Maybe it's about a 5 for me.
Nah, I agree with everything you've said there, mate. Especially with the back 5 situation, he looks more comfortable that way. And I think we can still see a lot more of him, but like you said, the first season he just blew away. Like nobody knew who he was. He was low
bargain money, like 3 million or something.
Unbelievable. So now we just need to. That's probably maybe why Brucey plays the 5 because he knows the better in the 5. But it's a shame. We just need to see him get back to his best. But he's obviously had in and out of fitness concerns and that. So far this season, I'd say about the halfway mark's about right now.
Yeah, and then he's partner Lascelles.
Oh, Lascelles, talk about inconsistency. I mean, 1 week he's great. We love Lascelles. We need him there. He's so commanding. He sets up the rest of the team for his leadership. He organises with. And then the next week, I kind of stand watching him. I kind of stand him. He winds me up loads of times. Like the amount of times that he just sits off and lets players come at him. He's way too deep. Takes too long to get that lunge in, get that block in, do something about it. He's out of position quite a bit sometimes as well. Again, I think he's much better suited in a 5 than he is in a 4 because it allows those mistakes and probabilities he's got in his game to get away with them more when he's got a Fernández and a Schär either side of him. But again, Lascelles, you just don't know what you're going to get with him. One week he is solid 7-8. Next week he's 3 or 4. So if we're going off that, I'd give Lascelles a 5 as well.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I think when Brucey finally first got the balls last season to go 5 at the back, to go 4 at the back, ditching the 5 at the back, Lascelles' partnership with Fernández, I thought the pair of them were outstanding. I thought we were seeing the best out of them, and I thought Lascelles might have looked better in a flat back 4 instead of like having like more support. But I think as time's gone on, I think you can tell like he just does get lost. I think he needs Fernández and Schär or whoever it is. He needs them for support. It's kind of like Joe Gomez at Liverpool. Like he can get away with not being the best defender because Van Dijk sweeps up for him. I think like Lascelles, I think they're all a little bit like that. I think they kind of rely on each other to sweep up their mess because of the inconsistency. I think Fernández is probably the most consistent of the 3, but if one of them makes a mistake, the other one has to be there because there's mistakes in them. And you can't really allow mistakes in Brucey's formation. He's set up where we allow pressure, soak up the pressure, just letting the other team attack. Like, you need your defenders to be on that game, and quite often they're not. And I think if it wasn't for his leadership skills, his captaincy, Lascelles might not even be at this club anymore because of his performances have been so up and down, mainly down in the last, since 2018 as well, wasn't it? Like, he was outstanding in the season before the World Cup. Like, we were calling for him to go to the World Cup, but since then, I'd say that his performances have been majority negative. Mm-hmm. And we're going to number 7, Andy Carroll, who was another frustrating one. We're talking about, we're not really sure what the situation is with Wilson at the minute. Going into the Chelsea game on Saturday, he picked up a hamstring injury before the international break. He should be okay, hopefully, not really too sure, but let's talk about Andy Carroll filling his shoes. Can he do the job? And nah, I really don't think he will. Like, I love Andy Carroll. I really, really do. Before we signed him, we did a video saying how much we want him to come back, particularly as a free transfer, pay-as-you-play deal, because we know he's not going to play week in, week out with injuries. But I think since lockdown, I think that was maybe a good thing for him. That was an opportunity for him to work on his fitness. And I don't think he's been injured since. I think he's been pretty fit since. He got his first full pre-season in about 10 years. And he played unreal in pre-season, got himself a couple of goals. But in competitive games, he still hasn't got a goal, and he still doesn't really look like getting a goal. Like, he puts in a shift. He's still an absolute nightmare for centre-backs. You do not want to come up against Andy Carroll with his big, long arms, elbowing you in the eyeball. Like, that's how we kind of got the penalty against Tottenham. Came on as a late sub, caused a nightmare for Eric Dyer. Got a penalty, a little bit of a dubious penalty, but that's the kind of threat that he can do. But we want him to score goals. If Wilson's going to be out, if Gale's out, and we're playing with a formation where we've only got one up top, and that one is Andy Carroll, we need him to score goals like what Callum Wilson does. I think too many times last season, whether it was Andy Carroll or Joelinton, the pair of them liked getting back. They like kind of helping out in the midfield, winning the ball, winning possession, and playing it forward. But when we play forward, there's no one to whip it into because we're centre forwards on the fucking halfway line. So it's just a frustrating thing with Andy Carroll, and like, he's had a couple bread and butter chances. The Brighton game at the end of last season, I think it was Morecambe this season. Good ball in, standing at the back post, 6'5", 6'6", Andy Carroll, whatever he is, scores goals for fun, backstick, nut, goal, easy. Nah, he's been putting them wide. I don't understand. He's just so down on confidence. Like, his obviously last competitive goal would have been 2, nearly 3 seasons ago for West Ham. Like, he needs a goal for confidence, and we'd all love to see it. Like, Andy Carroll getting on the score sheet at St James's. I'd love nothing more than to see that, but I think my confidence in him is just as low as his confidence in front of goal is. So for this season, he hasn't really had a lot of game time, to be fair. He's come on as subs and that because Callum Wilson's been so good. But for this season, I'd probably have to give him like a 3.
It was a funny one because you said pre-season he was scoring good goals. He got his chance first game of the season away to West Ham up front with Wilson. Did well. You mentioned the Spurs appearance off the bench. That's what he can bring to the team. Something last minute, something a handful. Defenders are going to shit themselves when you see Andy Carroll running towards you. You know if he comes on 83rd minute, fuck, I've got 10 minutes left, this big cunt. But then every time, I think I've said for about a year now, Andy Carroll, he's going to score the winner.
Yeah, have I? Got to put a bet on. Let's go.
I've lost about 65 quid. So I'm going to have to keep going. I have to keep going until he actually does it. So maybe we'll see more of him. Will depend on how well Wilson gets on the build up at Chelsea. It's still an option to put him up there with Joelinton, with Gale when he comes back. Might see more in the cup. We're still in the quarters of the Carabao. So, but you're right. This season, it's worrying how much he misses these chances. And when he did start against Morecambe or Newport, whichever one it was, he didn't really look up for himself. He was a bit sluggish, which was a shame. I thought he'd be dead up for it, but he's just lacking what we want to see in him, a bit more instinct, a bit more upfront.
Yeah, I think we were confident in him getting his goal against Newport, weren't we? Like after smashing Morecambe 7-0 the week before, we thought, another League Two team, get Andy Carroll in. This is the day he gets his first goal back. But that was probably his worst performance. He just really didn't look up for it. Like, this is an opportunity for you to get your first goal, put an effort in, but he was absolutely shocking. Like, he just wasn't interested, just didn't want to be there, didn't want to know. And that was really, really frustrating to see.
Aye.
So we'll go on to Jonjo Shelvey.
Jonjo Shelvey, ooh.
Inconsistency.
This could be a reoccurring theme. Obviously injured now, isn't he? He's been injured for a few games. Mm-hmm. It's another one where Shelvey this season as well, he showed glimpses. We've seen games where he's done well, where he's created chances, and we've seen games where everyone just says what's the point in him being there as well. But then we need him when we see that his replacement is Jeff Hendrick. So we need to get that partnership back between him and Hayden that worked so well. But again, it's just finding that consistency. And Jonjo Shelvey's never had consistency throughout his whole career. So if you go through a quarter of this season, I go midway again for him, really a 5. When he, to be fair, last season he was really impressive when he was like scoring that wonder equaliser against Man City. He was our top goal scorer, wasn't he? I think 6 goals.
6 goals in the Premier League.
You know, Wilson's already matched that this year, but he brought a lot of the team last year, Shelvey. So hopefully when he comes back from his injury, he can kick on. But what I've seen so far, 5.
Yeah, like that inconsistency was proven again, as we said before about Andy Carroll in the Newport game. Them two were the most frustrating. We were screaming at TV to get them off. They don't want to be there. They're not interested. Shelvey was just moping around, just pulling his socks up. His passes were stray. Just no interest. Like, you would have thought it was like Morecambe. You would have thought like we were 7-0 up on aggregate. Like, mate, it's 0-0 against a League. No, it was 1-0. They were winning. We're 1-0 down to a League 2 team. We're going out of the cup to a League 2 team, and Shelvey and Carroll are just, whatever. Like, it was so fucking frustrating. But then the last 10 minutes, it's like someone tapped Jonjo Shelvey on the shoulder. I'm like, you know, we're 1-0 down here. He's like, oh, fuck. I better pull it out the bag. Scored a worldy goal. He's like, the last 10 minutes, he was absolutely outstanding and scored the goal to pull out the shit. Got through on penalties. I think he scored his penalty as well, wasn't he? Like, where was that for the rest of the game? Like, that's peak Jonjo Shelvey. Like, really? How the difference in how he can be. He's the worst player on the pitch, or he can be the best. And I think he can be one of the best centre mids in the Premier League on his day. But it just depends whether he wants to turn up that day or not. Like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Joelinton, another frustrating one. Fuck's sake.
Jesus, I mean, he hasn't really prepared much either, like, has he?
Yeah, he hasn't now, which is disappointing. Like, I think coming into the season, I had quite high hopes on Joelinton because I knew that he wasn't really going to play up front anymore with the introduction of Callum Wilson. We're probably going to get him in his best position, which is anywhere other than up front, really. Either on the left-hand side as a second striker, as like a number 10 or whatever. I'm quite happy to see him in one of them formations.
Just not right mid,
just not as a lone striker or not right wing. I like on the left, in the middle, second striker, whatever. I'm quite happy to see him in those positions, but it just hasn't really gone that way. To be fair, at the start of the season, he did do pretty well, didn't he? He got 2 goals against Morecambe.
Really good goal, wasn't it? When he turned and he knocked him outside the box.
I think that bracket, that was about 3 or 4 games where he actually was really good. He was a late sub to come on against Newport, and he was brilliant. He was a late sub where he was brilliant against Tottenham in the draw. Like, that little bracket, we're seeing what he can do, but it was just glimpses, really, wasn't it? Like, we never really seen the best out of him. And since then, his performance has been pretty poor. I think it was Everton, maybe Southampton. I think another one. Like,
last game, Southampton, he was unlucky not to score that good header. Like, would wait about a year and a bit.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, a glancing header, great save by McCarthy. He did well to get up there, which we've never really seen him do that. He looked more like a striker.
Yeah, brilliant.
Unlucky not to score.
Yeah, I think there's been like a few games, the last few games. I can't really remember the last few games, to be honest, but he hasn't really been pulling out the bag. He's been getting more stick from the fans, which he's always going to get. He's never going to. I don't think he'll ever get the full support of the fans. There's some that like him. There's some that's willing to wait for him. Like I am. Like I want him to be good so bad. And like them few games, I was buzzing to see how well he was playing with confidence. Got himself a couple of goals, and then just hasn't really seen it since then. So it's just frustrating again. But yeah, he hasn't really had a lot of game time, like you say, other than the cups. So yeah, he's probably another one. I don't really want to give him a bad rating, but yeah, I'll probably have to give him a 5.
5's all round. Let's just stop the video now.
But this is just the inconsistency of Newcastle. This is Brucey Ball. It's just so inconsistent.
And There's some better ratings to come. You got to think of the players we've touched on so far, to be fair.
Yeah, so we'll go on to one that might get a good rating, probably our best player on paper, and Big Maxi.
Although the last few games has been quiet since
yeah,
move on. Next one.
That's because Brucey's been playing him out of position though, like playing him up front. That's shocking. He's been getting taken out of the game by Bruce.
He really has. We've talked about obviously maybe Jamaal Lascelles benefiting from the formation change, but one man that most definitely hasn't is Saint-Maximin. He's really, really not in that role whatsoever. He doesn't get on the ball enough on the wing to take players on. He's not in the box or near it enough to make an impact. I mean, you think back before he signed that long-term contract, the goal against Burnley from outside the box, taking a couple of players on, finding the bottom corner. All season, his usual self from last year where he's carrying the ball, making things happen. We're always so reliant on him. So until the last couple of games, he's been mid. He's been class. But what we say about Saint as well is that he always seems to be getting a few knocks every game, wincing every game, and pain every game. And you see large portions of the game, especially lately, where he hasn't got that acceleration. He gets the ball and he doesn't go with it, and maybe because he's scared of tackling or he's took a knock 5 minutes to go and he's not feeling up to it. But for the last few games, definitely got to blame Bruce for isolating him, really. Until then, like I said, the Burnley game, the other games, he's been great. So far this season, I give him a 7.
Yeah. I'd like to give him more. But yeah, we just haven't seen anything out of him the last 3-4 games. I think the Brighton game he got took off early because Brucey played him injured and he gave away silly penalties. So he's been sloppy. He hasn't been great. But then you see games like the Burnley game, world class performance, great goal, great assist, fantastic. But yeah, we just don't see that enough. But he's still one of our best players when played right, and I kind of wait to see more of him. Hopefully, he starts picking up some form after the international break.
I hope he's well rested and ready to win the game against Chelsea.
I fucking need someone to.
1-0, last minute.
We're going to skip Matt Ritchie. We picked up a big injury against Tottenham. That was early on in the season, really. Probably haven't really seen enough of Matt Ritchie to give him a vote.
Nah.
So we'll skip on to probably one of our best, and that's Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
Absolutely unreal. Great signing. 20 million. I think some people maybe question that because he got relegated. Like, he only scored 8 goals last season, relegated with Bournemouth. I think some people thought it might be a bit of a risk, but so far it's a risk well paid off. Is the striker that we've been crying out for years. Even like the loan spell we had with Rondon, he kind of filled in that position for a season, but it just wasn't consistent enough. We needed to sign Rondon, but didn't. Last season we signed Joelinton, who isn't a striker. Callum Wilson is just that natural goal scorer. And it's everything else he does as well. I think people underestimate his speed and his strength. Like, he's got it all. I was going to say he's great in the air. He's actually missed a few sitters this year, but that's something he just needs to work on. But
what you were saying though about him being a risk, for me it was a no risk. Yeah, £20 million this day is nothing, and for someone who's proven the Premier League. To be fair, like you said though, you only got 8 goals last season. From to get 6 in by November was unbelievable for Brucey Ball. And then for what he's offering us, you can see he's raring to go, loves being here. Trying to push into England side, but never going to happen. Gareth not looking past Middlesbrough. So, but he's proven what he can do in the Bournemouth shirt. He's proven what he can do in England shirt. So for 20 million for a Premier League player, I thought it was an absolute bargain. Definitely worth it.
I think it was like the injury prone thing as well. I think he picked up a few injuries last season, so I think people might have thought you had to stay fit for that value. Like 20 million, like I say, it's not a lot in this day and age, but for Newcastle it is. I think he's probably third most expensive signing. Fourth maybe. Yeah, third or fourth most expensive signing in our history, which is fucking shocking. So I think that's where the risk come from. But yeah, he is like a natural goal scorer. Like, when you look at the goals, he hasn't really been setting the world alight, but it's what we need. He's got 6 goals this season, already tied with what top Premier League goal scorer last season. He's only 2 off his tally from last season. He's scored 6 goals, 3 penalties, and 3 tap-ins off the line. But that's the kind of poacher that we need. Like I said before about Andy Carroll and Joelinton, the track too far deep when we do actually get into the final third, which isn't a lot. You need your striker to be in them positions, and that's where he has been. Them tap-ins off the line. If we didn't have him, they wouldn't have been goals. Like I say, if it was Carroll or Joelinton, they'd be absolutely nowhere near that position. So it's that striker's instincts, like how intelligent he is as a striker to know where to be at the right time to sniff these goals out. And penalties, I think we've only had 3 penalties in the last 3 years. We've had 3 already this season. At least he's had the confidence to put them in. He's been quite cheeky with a couple, and now just stroking them down the middle. That shows you like how confident of a goal scorer he is. So yeah, I'm buzzing that we've got Callum Wilson in the team. Hopefully he stays fit. Hopefully that hamstring injury doesn't keep him out. Hopefully he plays against Chelsea. I'll have to give him a 9. It's frustrating as well because in some games he has been completely isolated. Like I think the last game, Southampton, I only gave him a 3, not because he played bad, but because I didn't even fucking see him touch the ball. Like, he's just so isolated in the game, which is the frustrating thing. If we get more service, get more possession, more intent to push into the final third, he could have had 10 goals by now. But we just don't have that option. Like at least a handful of games this season, he's been completely isolated, not had a sniff. So yeah, like while we've got a clinical striker, we need to be more attacking and give him those opportunities because we know he can put them away. Isaac Hayden
this season, he was injured for a bit as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's still out now, isn't he? Or did he just come back? I think he just come back, guy.
Just came back. It's someone else who we really miss. He's always reliable in the middle of the park. I'm trying to think of this season though. But how many games has Isaac Hayden played this year? Was he playing loads at the start of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're like 9 league games in or something, aren't we?
And how much appearances he's had?
Yeah.
Now it's Hendrick in the middle of the park, pissing us off.
Yeah, no, that's how we say.
But you know what you're going to get from here, and I think every year he brings the same stability to the middle of the park, breaking up play. We need him back fit anyways. We need him in a black and white shirt because he's so important to us, especially with what we play. Because Southampton, we lost that game in the middle of the park, and because we'll just let every team have possession and play football. Yeah. So it's crucial that we've got a ball winner in there. I think centre mid where we really need to strengthen though. We need that box to box midfielder. Yeah, we need more creativity in the middle. So you would say Shelvey doesn't do it often enough. Jeffrey can piss off. Hayden can have a 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'll go out to Jamal Lewis, who has been a frustrating one for me. He's another one that I really, really want to do well, but I'll give him time. I've got the patience for Jamal Lewis. I think he was a great signing with Klopp wanting to make him Andy Robertson's replacement, which, to be fair, they probably could do with him at the minute. It was a massive coup for us, like how highly rated he was. Like I say, like with people like Jurgen Klopp sniffing around for him to go to the Champions, what a compliment for him. And for him to come to us, I think that's massive business from us. I think that's really, really good signing. Going forward, he's brilliant. He's got loads of energy, got great pace. He's got a brilliant delivery on him. His crossing's absolutely phenomenal. But as a defender, frustrating. He's probably another one who's probably going to benefit from going 5 at the back, where he can play as a bit more of a winger than he is as an actually full back. As a left back, he's not good enough defensively for me. Positionally, he just gets caught out all the time. He's never where he needs to be. He's either playing like centre mid or something. Like when the other team's attacking down the right wing, he's fucking standing in centre mid. Like, mate, do you want to like get back and put a tackle in? Like, he's just like defensively, he's just not there for me. But like I say, I've got patience for him. It could be a very, very good signing in the coming years. 15 million, not a great lot of money. Stole him away from the likes of Liverpool. So yeah, I'll give him a time, but. So far I'd probably have to give him at best a 6.
At best, aye. He's always got that though, and like you say, a couple of crosses in his last game have been brilliant, like on the money. You'd love that if you were a striker. So if you can get forward more, keep doing that. And then, like I think I said it before, like he just needs a better coach. He needs a better coach just to show him positional awareness and tactics more. And we're not going to get that on a Brucey.
No, definitely not. Steve have now to produce players.
And if you went away for Klopp, though, Klopp you'd be unbelievable in the next year or two.
He'd be the next Andy Robertson. Be class. We'd win Champions League over them.
Signed from a relegated side.
I'll let you get on to your favourite player then, Jeff Hendrick.
Why did I end up with Jeffrey? Fucking Jeffrey,
you like Jeffrey, don't you?
The better looking Bentaleb. I cannot stand this bloke. I mean, honestly, he's right up there with the hatred for Bentaleb. But what's going on there? And I think he's had his one good game of his life against West Ham by the looks of it. He looked unreal against West Ham. First game of the season, hit it in top bins, dominated the game in the middle of the park. What's going on there? You look at how bad he was for Ireland the other night as well against England. He was horrific, man. It was like what every instruction is from Bruce to the players. I mentioned myself, sitting off. How he let Sancho have all that time just to shoot and meg nuts through his legs, like it's just too easy. And that's what does Hendrick get paid for? What is he getting paid for, man? He gets on the ball, he doesn't out with it, backwards passes, sideways passes, brings nothing, doesn't really close people down, doesn't break up play, doesn't create chances. I cannot see the point. I cannot see the point. I'd rather have callback back. Bring back callback.
His agent must be absolutely unreal because he's starting every game in the league, every game for his country. Like, how? What's going on?
He's got to have something in his contract for us about his appearances. He's got to, man. Maybe he's got like minimum 15 appearances. Bruce is like, right, I'm going to fucking get rid of them. Not them. You can have all these appearances in a few months and then we'll never see him again, hopefully.
We've
got obviously Matty Longstaff coming back now as well, so hopefully we can get some of his form back. But Hendrick for making another 2, and that 2 is just solely based on his West Ham goal.
He did peak. Like we were saying in the pre-season, he's an okay signing for free. He's experienced. He's been in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years, got 60, 70 odd international caps. I think for a free signing, as a squad player, I was happy enough with it. Like I wasn't angry at it. Like I know a lot of people were angry because I think they were still thinking that we were going to sign like Mbappe and Neymar on that. Like, and the first signing was Jeff Hendrick. It was just very, very underwhelming. But yeah, I thought he was a decent squad player, and I'll probably stand by that. But I just kind of understand why he's starting week in, week out. Just kind of fathom that.
I didn't mind him playing the odd game, like against West Ham or something, or playing in the cup, or coming off the bench with half an hour to go. I didn't want to see him. He's like the first name on the fucking team sheet.
I know.
I know.
Can't understand that, like.
Unbelievable.
I got a number 17, Emil Krafth. Started the season pretty well, to be fair. Haven't really seen him in the last few weeks with Shaw coming back and one new signing at right wing back, Jacob Murphy, keeping all the actual right backs out of the team, Manquillo and Yedlin as well. I haven't really seen. I think he's been injured the last couple of games because he hasn't even been on the bench. Like Clark's come back and taken his spot on the bench, so I don't even know where he is at the minute. But I started the season, I thought he was okay. Fills in quite well as a right-sided centre back, even though that's not his position. When he does, he puts in a shift for me. I think he's all right. I think he was a little bit poor in the goal that we conceded against Newport, but yeah, he's okay. He's another squad player when he comes in. Either centre-back or right-back. He does a job. He's okay. He's solid enough. He was another cheap signing. He was, 4 million or something like that? But he's quite experienced. I think he's got like 50-odd caps for Sweden. He's okay. I didn't mind Krafth. So, yeah, he's been absent for the last few weeks. Start the season. Yeah, I'd probably give him... have a 5.
I don't mind Krafth, mate. Like you say, I think he comes in, does his job. You know what you're going to get from him. I don't mind him being there as a squad player at all. Probably quite harsh to be totally excluded from the match day squad, even not on the bench. But Mayfield, like you say,
world class. He must be injured or something. Like he hasn't been like spoke about in press conferences. He's just been missing from the squad, which I can't quite understand. Like I'd have him in the squad. I'd have him on the bench any day because he can fill in at either position and he does well when he comes on. So yeah, I don't really understand what's happening with Krafth at the minute. Fernández.
You know, Fernández is starting to come back to his best in a way, I think. I mean, I think at the start of this season, we could see he was absolutely drained from last year. Being the Iron Man, that's his nickname, and he doesn't miss a second of football. And you could tell, like the early stages of this season, he was just fucking knackered. And you kind of blame him. I mean, it's not like he's in his prime of his career. He's at the wrong side of 30 now, isn't he? So, but now he's starting to, maybe the odd break here and there has helped him. He's starting to recoup his form a bit. He's one where, unlike Lascelles, he times his blocks well. He gets stuck in well. His clearances, the amount of clearances he makes in the game is unreal. And Fernández is one of them ones where we mentioned like Lewis not being astute defensively. Like up here, Fernández is. Fernández knows his inside out. He's reliable. So I'd give Fernández a good 7.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm a big fan of Fernández. He's another one when we signed him. It was a bit of an underwhelming signing. Like he just got relegated from Swansea. I think he'd been at Swansea for a while, and I'd never really taken note of him. I'd never really So when we signed him, I was like, Fernandez, him that played for fucking Swansea. I didn't even really know who he was. I was like, what kind of fucking signings are that's lifting that?
I thought he was about 36 then. I thought he was done then. This is 3 years ago.
He's been like, I think this is his 3rd season now. Like, he has been pretty consistent, especially at the end of last season, like after lockdown. Iron Man playing every single game, even though he's fucked after about 3. We're playing like 3 games in a week. He played every single minute of every single one. He was absolutely paggered, but he was still trying. He was still putting in a shift. He wasn't whinging. He wasn't asking for timeout. So I love Fernandez, mate. And he is finally starting to get back to his best. I think we could finally say that the energy was running out at the start of the season. I think he was absolutely fucked. He needed a break, but he's getting back to his best now. Manquillo. That's a bit of a funny one because he hasn't really played that much this season, has he? Because he got a new deal at the start of it was at the end of last season, wasn't he? I think he tied down that right back spot because I had 3 with Krafth and Yedlin as well. Weren't really sure which one our best one was. I think Brucey was playing around with them a bit, but finally realised that Manquillo probably is the best one. Got a deserved contract. But I can't even really remember seeing him playing that much this season because, like we say, like the last few games, Murphy's been playing there. Krafth's played a bit. Yedlin's played cup games. He's played a couple of times at left back, hasn't he? When Lewis was out. Yeah, he hasn't really stood out. I can't really remember too many times where I've thought he's had a good game. So yeah, I'll give him a 4.
I agree.
Swiftly on to Ryan Fraser.
I wish Ryan Fraser was more fit because it's taken Brucey too long to integrate him into the 11, really, isn't it? Every time he's played, he's done really well. I mean, when he came to the who was it at home? It wasn't Burnley at home. Who was it at home? Wilson nicked his goal on the line, but it would look like it was probably going wide anyway.
Was it Everton?
Everton, was it? And you've seen in the cup games, I remember his first goal for Newcastle against Blackburn, that through ball. What I like about Fraser is his intelligence going forward. Like, he reads play so well. He knows when to time his runs. He doesn't just stay on the left. He's play on the left or the right. You'll go in between the lines. He's a handful for defenders. Great pace, good finish on him. He's been carrying his country as well in games up until he was injured, obviously this week. So I hope he's back soon and can nail down a starting 11 place because what I want to see is I want to see Fraser, Almirón, and Saint-maximin behind Wilson. That's what 100%. I want to see. Or a 3 of Wilson, Fraser, and Saint-maximin. That's what I want to see up top. That could cause that's a dangerous attack in 3 or 4. Whatever way you want to play it. So he needs to be played more. He needs to be a regular. So hopefully his fitness gets sorted out because I've been impressed when I've seen him. I really have. I'd give him a good. I'm going to give him an 8.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, even though, like you say, like we haven't seen him that much. Like, the fitness thing is frustrating because he is a starting 11 player. Like, when fit and healthy, how well he's been playing for Scotland, and that like we can see what he's got. Like, we can see why. Like 2 seasons ago, him and Wilson were scoring and assisting goals for fun. He had a link about 20-25 million move to like Arsenal. Like, that's how highly rated he is. It's just frustrating that, last season, I think everyone at Bournemouth was pretty poor, even like Wilson with being disappointed with his 8 goals. I think Fraser only got about 4 assists or something, 4 assists and 1 goal or something, like pretty poor. But yeah, like now, like he's playing more regularly. We can start to say that he is a great player. Why we wanted him in for free as well. What an absolute fucking signing he was. Even if we spent 20 million on him, I wouldn't be angry. I'd be over the moon with that signing, regardless of the price. For free, I think it's a major coup. I think we've done really, really well to get him. And I like when he's fit and healthy, he's a starting 11 player. I think him and Saint-maximin on either side cause absolute hell. And obviously, knowing his strike partner in Wilson, great. I can't wait to see them link up properly like the Everton game. Like, that was just a taste of what there is to come.
Yeah, definitely, hopefully.
Number 22 is Yedlin. He's only played 2, maybe 3 cup games, I think. So I'll just skip straight on to him and go on to his replacement, which has been Jacob Murphy at right wing back. He's been all right.
He's one good free kick, really, and like you say, doing well in a position that's not his. Played a little bit there on loan at Sheffield Wednesday, but especially in the Wolves game, he done really well. You could see he was trying to prove a point, couldn't you? I love how he did his research, his homework for the keeper, for the goal, the free kick at the last. put it away nicely. The game after that, again, he did a decent enough job. So when called upon, he's done well, but we need to see him, and you just play him as I think maybe you should start playing as a 25 minutes to go sub on the right wing, get our defenders, take them on. That's the best part of the game, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy to see him in the team because I think come pre-season, when looking around the options, I think he was the best we had, like with Atsu and that in there, and Rolando Aarons and that. Like, I'd much rather see Jacob Murphy. Like, he had a good loan spell last year, so I was happy that he was given a first team squad number on that. I just still don't think he's not first 11 quality. Like, if everyone's fit and healthy, like Saint-maximin, Fraser, Almirón, he's not going to get into any starting 11s. Sometimes he probably wouldn't even make the bench if everyone's fit and healthy, but I think it's a bit of a stroke of brilliance from Brucey. You probably got to give him credit for giving him a shot at right wing back, especially when I think, as far as I was aware, everyone's fit and healthy. Like Krafth, Manquillo, Yedlin, I'm sure they were all available. For him to play a winger there at first, when I seen that team sheet, I didn't even know what formation he was playing that game. I was like, what's going on here?
There's no going around on Twitter. Everyone was thinking, is Murphy in centre mid, or where is he number 10? And then he turned out to put right back.
Because Fraser and Almirón were playing centre mid that day with Hayden, with Hendrick and Wilson and Saint-maximin up top, and it just, when it came out, it wasn't even in an order. It was like, what the fuck is this formation? Is he just randomly selected 11 players here or what? Like, to be fair to him, like, he got the goal that day, man of the match. I think it's probably man of the match the game after that as well. So yeah, credit to Jacob Murphy. He's come in when called upon, playing in a position he's not fully familiar with. Like you say, he played a little bit there last season in the Championship. Premier League's a massively different level. He's been all right, like probably similar to Lewis. Defensively, he's not great. Like, he's not a defender, so you can pardon him on that. But getting forward, putting an effort in, pace and energy up top, balls in, scoring great free kicks. Kind of saying not bad about him. And even in the games before like the cup games, Morecambe, Newport, he was outstanding. He was great. He was probably man of the match in those games. So in the games that he started, he's probably been man of the match for us in about 80% of them. So yeah, massive credit to Jacob Murphy coming in when being called upon and being great. I'd give him a 7.
Good job.
Miggy.
I mean, we've seen him do over Messi in the weekend and then the national break. And we'll say it again. Like, I mean, why is he playing centre mid? Why is he wasted that? Look at the effort he puts in as well. You see him on Sky, he's sweating buckets, he's chasing everyone back. I mean, you think of the goal for Everton, where he won it in our corner flag, took it all the way up, give it to Saint gives it to Wilson. Yeah, or was that Wilson give it to Saint should have scored? That might have been that one. But regardless, he's one into the other. His defensive abilities, he's tracking back all the time. He shows what he can do further up the pitch. We've not seen enough of that, though. We've not seen enough of him getting shots off, taking players on. I think he was really good in the cup games as well when he was playing that number 10 role. He has to be number 10 or like he was for Paraguay, a left forward, the left of a free. Like I say, imagine even Wilson in the middle, Almirón and Saint either side of Wilson, and the 3 would be class to watch. And we need to see more of that. We need to see him not again restricted by Brucey, just like Saint-maximin is, because at the minute we're not getting enough out of him. We're not getting the best out of him. We're not using his biggest capabilities. But I really, really like Almirón now, and he started to add goals to his game. So getting through the forward again, playing in the right position. So far this season, the games he's done, I'll give him a 7 as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, he was left out in the first few games, wasn't he? Like that. Like, that was quite annoying because we know what kind of player that he can be. I think a couple of these games, he wasn't in them enough. But I think we've said many times, like, what goes unnoticed is his work rate. Like, he's like getting back and putting in a tackle, winning possession. Like, for a little skinny lad, like the tackles that he puts in and the amount of times he wins back possession, it's amazing. Like, he is a great player. Like, when he can. Right, just playing in the wrong position. I'm not a big fan of him on the left-hand side, like where Rafa played him when he first came in. He was on the left with Rondon in the middle and Perez on the right. I don't think that was what got the best out of him there, but I'd rather see him there than in centre mid. But number 10 is where we get the best out of him because he can get back and forward. He can pick up the ball. He can be creative, look for a pass, get a shot off if he needs.
Yeah.
Good. potentially player of the season, Karl Darlow.
Mm-hmm.
It's my rating this one.
Yeah.
Yep, 10.
10 out of 10 for this one for the Darlow.
Yeah. 10 for Karl Darlow. Can't not be. He's kept winning so many games. Like, as we've said in the last couple of games, seasons about Dubravka, to be fair. I think when you would look at Dubravka getting injured, facing any amount of time on the sideline, like lockdown first time came at a pretty good time because Dubravka picked up an injury in the last game against Southampton, wasn't it? And we're like, oh, fuck, we're going to have to play for Karl Darlow for the next month or two. He's, for the last 3, 4, however many years he's been here, 5 years, he's been a great backup. I don't mind Karl Darlow. I don't hate him. I think when last season when we played Man City, I think it was the cup game, when Dubravka was fit and Brucey started Karl Darlow, everyone was like, Bruce, what the fuck are you doing? You absolute idiot. But to be fair to him, this season he's came in and statistically he's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. Most amount of saves, which isn't really a stat you can be proud of because that just tells you how shit the defense is. But credit where credit's due, he's been pulling them out of the bag. Like, if we'd conceded a few more of them goals, if Darlow wasn't in the positions to make them saves, I'd dread to think where we'd be in the league. We'd definitely be in the bottom 3. Like, particularly the game against Tottenham, like that's a 1 in every kind of 10 years kind of performance. That, like, the last time a performance like that was made by a goalkeeper in the Premier League was Tim Krul against Tottenham. That was about 2011 or something. It's been 9 years since we've seen a performance like that in the Premier League. And we had another one. It was a couple of games ago. Was it Wolves or someone the week before? He pulled out another like 10 saves or something. Like, just keeping in these games, making like great saves as well, not just bang average saves. Like the one last week, Romeo tipping it onto the bar. He's been pulling out some absolute worldy saves, keeping we're in games, keeping out the bottom 3, just as Dubravka's done in the last 2-3 seasons. So yeah, can it not be anything other than a 10?
I think when we've touched on other players, especially at the start of the video, a lot of 5s was because there's inconsistency. Don't get that with Karl Darlow. Not now. We used to say about him from crosses and stuff. He was worrying. It looks like he's really worked on himself over the summer. Like, he looks like he's really worked hard pre-season. He's built himself up a little bit more. He must have been putting in more sessions with the goalkeeping coaches because he's just went on leaps and bounds. And like I said, consistency. Every game he's been class. Every game he's kept winning it. And without him, we would be a lot further down in that bottom 3, to be honest. So definitely a 10 out of 10, like, for Darlow.
I think he had a bit of a shaky pre-season. And at the start of the season, there was calls for Mark Gillespie to come in because he was putting some great performances out in pre-season and in the cup games. So I think we've seen him 3 times this season in the cup games. Are we going to give him a rating?
We can do, because I think at the start he was good. He's good first couple of games. Unknown entity, really one. He's great that he's a local lad, loves it. He will do anything to play for the club. But from the Scottish League, which, let's face it, Sunday League football, anybody not a great club either, is he? Like, not a club that's at like the top end of Scottish. So when we've seen him come in, he hasn't really been tested at the highest levels yet. Like, as well, he's still at the Scottish levels where he's been playing the cup, and against League 2 opposition and that. But he's done a job when called upon. He came in, kept his clean sheets, but then obviously in the last game he was at fault when he for the opening goal against Newport. So that was poor. So when we see him again, hopefully, I think he'll do all right. I think he'll be a good backup keeper to have at the club. He'll always try his best, and I think, like, judging him on these first few appearances, I give him a 6 because he had a couple of clean sheets, didn't he?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he's been pretty solid. He just made that one mistake that could come costly, and it was about that time where we were considering dropping Darlow because his performances at the season weren't that great. Gillespie was fantastic, but I think that was the same week where Gillespie made that mistake, and then came the Tottenham game where Darlow was absolutely outstanding. So I think that was the nail. That was the nail in the coffin for Gillespie. Then, really, to be fair, haven't seen him since. The last player who's probably played enough games to get a rating, because, like I say, we're not going to judge Dubravka, Atsu, Gale, Clark, Longstaff, Matty Longstaff. So the last player is Sean Longstaff.
Sean Longstaff, is that you in it?
I think that's me. I don't even know what I can say about Sean Longstaff. He's another frustrating one, like a local boy, one that would really, really want to do well. When he first broke through 2 seasons ago, was absolutely outstanding, getting 30 million offers from big clubs, was it 30 or 50? Like 30 million,
50,
I think. Was it 50? Fucking hell. Mad that. But since then, like, he's another one that's pretty much gone downhill. He comes up with great performances every now and then. Who was the one the other week? Was that Everton? Was that the Everton game? He was great in the Everton game a couple of times last season. Playing more as a number 10, I think Oxford and Bournemouth towards the end of the season. He's been great in bits, which is just so annoying. Like, if he had a bit more consistency, like he did when he first broke through 2 seasons ago, you could see him getting 30 million offers. Like, you could see his value being that high. But from what I've seen of him over the last year and a half, it'd be lucky to get fucking 10 million off of him because he just hasn't been great. We're calling for him to get in the England squad. Just absolutely a million miles off that. If Shelvey and Hayden aren't getting the England squad, Sean Longstaff's got absolutely no chance. He hasn't really played a lot, to be fair, because I think he was injured for most of the start of the season. So he's only played a handful of games, one great, a few not so great. So he can have a 4.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me the last game was that he actually looked a bit sharper. I was at Everton. One of the last couple of games, he looked a bit sharper. He looked like he was more up for it. He looked like he was getting the hunger back, the fitness back, because he seems to have just been carrying a bit of a niggle, hasn't he? He's never really been up to it. His passing's been a bit wayward, but hopefully he can get some back in the next quarter of the season. Like you say, so far this season, but probably just below average. I thought probably right.
Yeah, and as always on player ratings, we'll finish it off with Big Bruce.
Oh, dearie me. Where do we start with Big Bruce? I mean, if we're doing a quarter review on results-wise, probably gets a good 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, just like all the pundits would say.
Quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, had obviously a massively easy run, had to do a penalty shootout to get past the last league top position. Sitting comfortably mid-table, I think, with several points off relegation. We've picked up some good results at Spurs, Wolves, Everton at home, and then there's games where we've just completely bottled it and conceded it and capitulated, like Man United at home. So a bit like the start of the video, really inconsistent, isn't it? Like one week we'll do mint, some great results, Everton, Wolves, and then we'll get embarrassed and not touch the ball against Southampton. So, and the main thing, obviously, you've got to talk about Bruce is just how negative it is, how boring it is. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, check out the Brucey Ball podcast we did last week. And we'll go into these kind of things in more discussion with a couple of other Newcastle fans, Geordie and Big Oaks, where they talk about they don't even like watching Newcastle anymore. Used to go every game, can't even be bothered to watch it on TV now. If they do watch it on TV, they fell asleep by half time. That's how bad it can be. It's so frustrating to see we play 5 at the back, and we've mentioned Almirón, Saint-maximin out of position, restricting those attacking flair, creative players. We need to get more out of them, and then he just looks completely clueless at times. Like he hasn't got any idea of tactics or what's going on. So it can be so fucking shit and frustrating and boring to watch Newcastle. So results 7, 8. Football performance-wise, 2. So we'll give him a 5, 4, like that.
I'd say 4. Because honestly, I'd love to just give him like a 2 or a 1. Because, like you say, like the performances, like that's what we'll watch football for. Like, the result is the main outcome, and at times the results have been okay, but they've just been papering over the cracks. Really, these results, like the results have been great, but the performances for the majority of them, I think maybe excluding Everton and West Ham and Morecambe, like they're the only games this season really where we've probably been the better team. Done well, been good, but like that's 3 games out of like 9 league games and a handful of cup games. Like the majority of them just been so shit. Like, I'm not surprised. Like people fall asleep by half time. If we didn't do like the live watch-alongs, I probably wouldn't even watch the games anymore. To be honest, it is just boring. It's negative and it's frustrating. Like how many times do we get fucking angry just watching the game at the end of the game, just thinking, what the fuck have I been watching? Why am I wasting my time watching Brucey Ball? Like, it's just so annoying. Like, I'd rather see a good performance. If the results don't come all the time, fair enough. Like you'd like to see like the lads put in an effort. But that's the thing. Like half the time they just don't even look like they know what they're doing. He's playing people out of position. He sometimes plays people that aren't fit. He tampers around with formations. Looks like the lads haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing. just setting up so negative to invite pressure, let them have 70% possession, not being asked, but somehow we still come away with a 1-1 draw.
No, that's nuts.
It's bizarre, like, and like you didn't know where to go. Like, are you happy for the result? Or are you disappointed in the performance? Like,
nah.
It's mad.
The stats speak for themselves as well. We're at the bottom of all the worst lists you'd want to be at the bottom of. Touches in the opposition box, shots conceded, tackles given. Like possession, everything. We're all right at the bottom there. So it isn't pretty, really, is it?
That's certainly not. But at least we get to watch Gareth Southgate sing on the night.
Nah, England beat Belgium tonight. Get on that. I think I'll watch it up instead. It'll probably finish that then, actually. That'll do it, won't it? Everyone's doing Dustin. We won't rate the other Steve. They all have zeros.
I didn't even know their names.
Harper is one of them.
Oh, he's the fourth Steve, though, isn't he? He's just the goalkeeper.
He's the newest of the Steves.
I generally didn't even know the name of our assistant manager. I was like, that's how much I couldn't give a fuck about any one of the Steves.
Steve. No. Steve Clark for Scotland. He's doing all right, isn't he? Scotland, yeah, look forward to that.
Bring Clark in.
Bring Clark back, probably.
5 Steves.
Five Steves. Steve Caldwell, Steve Kitson, bring them on in. Right, and thanks very much for watching, everyone. Make sure you drop your comments in the player ratings below. Drop your player ratings in there, what you think of the video. And we'll be back next week. Plenty of build up towards the Chelsea game. Subscribe to my Play Channel TV and enjoy.
Enjoy, yes, sir.